All right, it is Thursday, meaning this is the beginning of week 5 for football action. These weeks are flying by, but hey, enjoy the ride while it's here. So, in the week 5 matchup, the Baltimore Ravens take on the Cincinnati Bengals at M&T Bank Stadium for Sunday night football. Primetime lights, only game going on at the time. Hopefully, we can right the ship. That was last week with that controversial fourth down call with John Harbaugh. Either way, I think the defense should have stepped up. Some people think the offense should have scored in the second half, which I totally agree. But we pay a lot of money on defense, so hey, they should have done what they needed to do. They should have gotten done what we paid them for. $43 million secondary. Now, it's not to say that the secondary performed poorly, but hey, when we needed that stop, we couldn't get it. Dawson Knox, Stephon Diggs, they made big catches on that last drive. And for me, it was a little bit upsetting, not the fact that they scored to win the game, but how easily they got down the field. They got down the field so fast that they had to kind of run the ball to run the clock out because it didn't take them any time to get there. Now, hopefully, another week together, some more continuity, JPP getting a little bit more in football shape. This is going to bring this defense together because if we thought we were going to have an issue with Crowder, Isaiah McKenzie, and Stephon Diggs, this week we bring up T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, and former Raven tight end Hayden Hurst. It's going to take everything that we have to slow this team down. Now, the one kind of caveat, maybe, so to speak, is Cincinnati's offensive line has not performed that well for the entire season. Now, the last 2 games, they kind of righted the ship a little bit, allowing 2 and 1 sacks. But prior to that, the first 2 games of the season, they allowed 13 total sacks, which is a continuance of last year with Joe Burrow just getting beat the hell up. Hey, can we do it? I know one of our Achilles heels is we don't have enough pass rush. So JPP, hey, everybody think that you're the savior of this. We need you, bruh. We need you to come through and wreak havoc like the old Jason Pierre-Paul. Without it, I think that Burrow may have all day to dissect this. And another issue that I'm concerned with is Joe Mixon. Everybody forgets about the running game. Now, Joe Mixon is averaging maybe 3.5 yards per carry this year. Ground game hasn't been kind of what it has been, but let's not forget last year, Joe Mixon had a streak of 8 or 9 straight games with a touchdown. He was doing his thing. And we know as the weather gets colder, teams start to run the ball a little bit more. Our run defense started strong, but it hasn't been the greatest. So along with passing, we still have to worry about the run game. Now, when Baltimore has the ball, are we going to be without Rashad Bateman? I think that might be my biggest concern throughout this football game because now everybody wanted to see them young boys cook and see if they had the capabilities to be NFL wide receivers. So now Devin Duvernay, he bumps up to the 1. I don't know if it's going to be DeMarcus bumped up to 2. I don't even know if Prochet is going to play because we haven't seen that much of him, even though we've had some injuries with the wide receiving core. Tylan Wallace, it's time to prove your worth. It's time to secure your spot on this team for next year. Can they do it? That is the question to be answered. Now, we did go out yesterday, and I don't know if it's been signed yet, but we acquired Andy Isabella, who was cut by the Arizona Cardinals. Now, he's supposed to be a burner. He ran a 4.240 at the combine, but he is on the smaller side at 5'8". And my biggest question is, if you couldn't make it in an air raid offense, how are you going to make it here? Because we don't pass the ball nearly as well. I've been told he's not the best route runner, but if he can kind of dictate coverage and take him away from the line of scrimmage, that's going to make it a little bit easier for us to run. Now, for us to run, that offensive line needs to kind of get it together. Patrick McCarry, he practiced. Is he going to play? Don't know. Ronnie Stanley's been practicing all week long. Is he going to play? That has been the dark cloud that's hovered over this team all season. When are we going to get our all-pro left tackle back? And is he going to be the same once he comes in? For me, if he does come back, I personally would like to see Fa'alele shifted over to the right-hand side because Morgan Moses is struggling. Like, I don't know if anybody's watched the game or actually watched him personally. He's struggling. He's struggling allowing pressures. He's not really good in the run game. I said this before the season. He was a backup tackle for the New York Jets who only got playing time because of injury. Now, if he can get his stuff together, which will be a tough task, I know that Cincinnati can bring some heat with Trey Hendrickson and Sam Hubbard. Like they have a decent defense. It hasn't played up to the level it has before, but listen, they can turn it on at any time. And with our porous offensive line, who knows? Secondary stacked. You know, they got a Woozier. They have a Hilton, who's a very underrated cornerback. They drafted Justice Hill's little brother, Dax Hill, and the secondary is kind of solid. Will we be able to pass? Because if we can't pass, they are going to stack the box, and it's going to be all up to Lamar once again to lead this team in rushing. Now, JK, you know, he's rounded into form, but I think they're going to have him on a pitch count, so to speak. So that's going to kind of limit the game. Justice Hill, he has that hamstring injury. I think he's going to be out for a couple of weeks. So that's going to leave it up to Kenyon Drake and Mike Davis. Mike Davis, to me, most didn't expect much from him, but I think he's given even less than what we expected. So it's going to be important to establish someone other than Lamar and other than JK to get this ground game going. Now, with our defense, you know, Travis Jones, where you at? We kind of need you because our first round picks aren't living up to the hype that they had coming out of college. Patrick Queen, everybody's down on him. I know Coach said out of 60 plays, he only had three bad plays, but those 3 bad plays were pretty damn important. And I think that matters more than per se 57 decent plays that really didn't amount to much, even though I know he wasn't in on all 57 plays. He was just probably on camera. Dafe Owe, he got his first sack of the season, which he was kind of pushed into, but stat sheet, it counts nonetheless. We need him to become that player that we thought when we drafted him first overall, or which most thought, because listen, the college production, to me, it was okay. It wasn't worthy of that first round project pick that we seem to want to have these last couple of years. Now, this game to me is going to be dictated by Marlowe, Peters, and more importantly, Brandon Stevens, because Brandon Stevens is going to be matched up versus Tyler Boyd. And as we saw in the New England game, that third receiver killed us. In the Buffalo game, Isaiah McKenzie was about to go off. If he hadn't gone out with injury, I think that Buffalo would have did more through the air than they did. Luckily, we signed Marcus Williams, and he's going to erase anything over the top, hopefully, because they killed us last year with that deep passing game. Now, for us, I don't know if it's a revenge game. I don't know if it's a pride game, but Joe Burrow has been talking a lot of smack. Now, I know it's because of some of the comments that Wink made about him being just the average Joe, so to speak, but he's been chirping, and hey, I can't blame him. He had damn near 1,000 yards passing in 2 games against us. And I know people are going to say, hey, we had the injuries, but don't forget, Marlowe guarded Chase that first game and gave up 200 and something yards. Granted, Marlon's playing a lot better than he has in years past, and we just need that to continue. All in all, I think that this game is going to come down to coaching. It's going to come down to adjustments. Can Gregory Roman adjust if the defensive coordinator for the Bengals switches things up? And is Mike McDonald graduated from college and able to put this defense in the right position? This is going to dictate the outcome of this game. Up next are some prop bets from my man Derek. Let's get it.
That's right, Ravens flock. Your man DWeezy's back to give you some more of the angles and plays that I'm going to be looking at when it comes to this Ravens game this Sunday against the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, y'all, didn't do too well this past week, but we're going to bounce back and come back stronger. Now, to kick things off, one play that I am looking at, Lamar Jackson, over 56.5 rushing yards. He's cleared this number in the past 3 games on the rushing side, and I suspect there's a strong chance that he will be a primary factor in the rushing game coming up, as we see Bateman's likely to miss this game with his injury. Now, before, y'all have heard me say the Ravens secondary versus high-powered offenses, specifically high-powered wide receivers, is going to be a challenge for this team. And looking at this game, one player I will be looking to target is T. Higgins. Now, you look at the number Books have his receiving prop at 68.5 yards, and I feel that he is in a prime position to go over that number. I believe that Jamar Chase will be the main concern for the secondary of the Ravens, and this will likely lead to more targets and possibly receptions that lead to more yak yardage and help cover that 68.5. Another player I'd be interested in looking at is Tyler Boyd in this matchup, depending on where his prop is. Now, for my last play, this is something y'all seen me go to before. Game prop. Both teams to score over 19.5 points in this game. Even last week, the Ravens were able to cover this number when it comes to a prop like this. I think people would be more hesitant about Cincinnati's ability to cover that 20. But in this game, I feel they're going to be able to put up some points. The Ravens have struggled with their pass rush. That means even with the Bengals' issues and questions at offensive line, Joe Burrow is likely to have more time to operate than we've seen in past weeks. That combined with the secondary matchup with the wide receivers could potentially lead to a higher scoring game than most are expecting. Now that's what I'm going to be riding with this week, folks. Y'all want more betting action like this, y'all can always catch me at Backyard Action Media. You can also see me on LBHT every Wednesday for the Lunch Money Bets. And of course, y'all can catch me right here with my man Hendo. Everybody take care out there.
Appreciate that, bro. Now, if you want even more expert picks from my man Derek, hop on over to Backyard Action Media. Check out his daily props, his daily bets. He's got some good stuff going on. Now, if you want to make yourself some money, wait till the basketball season, because last year that man was on fire. I should have taken his advice and took some bets and won some money, but I'm a little skeptical. I'm not really a bettor, but when it comes to basketball, he has a formula that doesn't miss. Now to preview the rest of this week's NFL action. So tonight we have the 1-2-1 Colts going up against the Denver Broncos in Thursday Night Football. The Colts have been a little bit disappointing, but they have Matt Ryan. What else can you expect? Jonathan Taylor's hurt, so I think that takes their odds of winning down even more. Now, I know that Russell Wilson hasn't been the best, but the last game he's apparently come on and doing the things that Denver paid him $250 million to do. With the Colts limited in the run game and Darius Leonard being out for a second straight game, I think this should be an easy win for the Denver Broncos. Bronco country, let's ride. On Sunday, we have another treat. We have another game in London, 9:30 a.m., with the New York Giants taking on the Green Bay Packers, both 3-1. Surprisingly, New York is 3-1. Nobody expected it, not even New York Giants fans. But I think in this matchup with Daniel Jones being hurt, even though Saquon Barkley is back to being Saquon, I think that Aaron Jones and Aaron Rodgers are just a little bit too much for the New York Giants. I'm going to pick Green Bay to win, especially behind that defense. Now, to start the 1 o'clock games, we have the 2-2 Falcons going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Atlanta, hey, they've been down for some years. Marcus Mariota, once again, not my cup of tea, but hey, he's gotten the 2 wins. You can't take anything away from that. But the strength behind those wins has been Cordero Patterson, who is out for the year, which I think takes away from most of what they do. They need to get a little bit more going with that Kyle Pitts connection, because he is, to me, their best player. Now, Tampa Bay, they've been struggling on offense all year with their receivers being down. Listen, it got to a point where they signed Cole Beasley, and 2 weeks later, Cole Beasley said, I'm out. I can't. I don't want no more. I'm done. But Tom Brady had a Tom Brady-like game, and I just think Tampa Bay's defense is a little bit too strong, so I'm going with the Buccaneers. Next up, we have a surprising 2-2 Chicago Bears at the Minnesota Vikings. Now, I'm surprised that Chicago's 2-2 because Justin Fields had his first game over 150 yards passing. I think previous to the last game, his high was like 104 yards. He was literally passing for 70 yards a game. That's not going to cut it in today's NFL, but playing strong defense and that running game actually helped them to those 2 wins. Now, the Minnesota Vikings, Kirk Cousins, I'm not a believer, but since it's not a primetime game, I think Dalvin Cook, and Justin Jefferson take this team to a win. Now we have the America's sweetheart, 1-3 Detroit Lions taking on the 1-3 New England Patriots. Listen, Detroit fights hard. I actually think that they lead the league in scoring, but they just cannot seem to hold leads at the end of games. New England, on the other hand, they just don't seem to get leads because offensively, they aren't it. They're without Mac Jones. Bailey Zappi, or whatever his name is leading the charge. They look decent, but I just don't think that they have enough. So I'm actually going to go with the Detroit Lions for the win. Ugh. We got the 0-3-1 Houston Texans taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars at 2-2. Surprisingly, Jacksonville Jaguars have played strong. Like they've been in games. Trevor Lawrence has played up to that first round expectation. I think coaching matters, as you can see. When they had that kid of a coach last year, they were in shambles. But this year, they're looking a lot better. I just don't think that Houston, offensively and defensively, are a very good team. So, hands down, I'm going with the Jacksonville Jaguars. The 2-2 Los Angeles Chargers travel to Cleveland to take on the Browns. Listen, Justin Herbert, he's had that rib injury. He looked a lot healthier this last game. I think he's going to be a little bit too much for Cleveland, even though technically Cleveland has that ground game and supposedly had that defense that hasn't been playing up to par. Myles Garrett in a car accident, don't think he's going to play. So that's just going to make it easier for Justin Herbert to do his thing. So I'm going to go with the Los Angeles Chargers in the victory. The 3-1 Miami Dolphins traveled to New York to take on those scrappy New York Jets. Zach Wilson returned last week. They got a victory. I thought that they were going to go downhill by taking Flacco out because Flacco was fifth in the league in passing at the time. But Miami is going to be without Tua Tagovailoa, and I'm just not sure that Teddy's going to do what he needs to do. I don't think he has the same arm, even though Tua didn't have a very strong arm to begin with. But I don't think Tua can take care of those deep shots. The running game to me for Miami is average at best. And I just don't think that they have enough defensively. Miami could stay in the game, but I'm going to have to go with New York for the win. We have the 1-3 Pittsburgh Steelers traveling to Buffalo, New York to take on the Buffalo Bills. Now, everybody crowned the Buffalo Bills Super Bowl champs before the season started. Had a tough game last week, but they did beat my Ravens. Can't take anything from it, but Pittsburgh comes in with a new quarterback. It starts the baby hands era this week. He came in for an ineffective, tricky Mitch, but hey, it's a rookie coming in his first game that he didn't start, didn't get first team reps. He did well. He had 3 interceptions, but I think they'll clean it up, but they are no match for Buffalo. I think Buffalo is going to stomp them out. Next up, we have the surprising 2-2 Seattle Seahawks traveling to Nolans to take on the New Orleans Saints at 1-3 for a 1 o'clock matchup. Now, for some reason, I guess Pete Carroll decided he was going to let Geno Smith cook, and Geno Smith has been cooking. I was never a believer in Geno, but he's proven a lot of people wrong. Like he's been slinging that thing around these last couple of games. New Orleans, I'm not sure if Winston's going to be back, but Andy Dalton as starting QB, yeah, Andy Dalton was past his prime 3-4 years ago. So I'm going to have to go with the Seattle Seahawks in the win because they have the stronger ground game and possibly the better defense. In our last 1 o'clock matchup, we have the 2-2 Tennessee Titans taking on the 1-3 Washington Commies. Last week, Tennessee got it rolling. I think Derrick Henry's starting to catch his groove. I think he's going to be a little too much for Washington to contain. Now, Washington, hey, I can't take them away from him. Carson Wentz is playing decent right now. Better than I really expected. It's just that the ground game has been putrid. Defense is slightly okay. I think they're missing Chase Young, but Derrick Henry's just going to run all over him, and Tennessee's going to take this win. Now we get into the 4 o'clock games. We have the 2-2 San Francisco 49ers traveling to Carolina to take on the Panthers, who sit at 1-3. I guess Baker Mayfield forgot to bring the chip on his shoulder because all that he's been tweeting, the t-shirts that he's been making just has not been working. I don't think that this team rides Christian McCaffrey enough, and they are criminally underutilizing DJ Moore. Now, the 49ers, defensively, I think they're one of the best defenses in the league, and that's what's carried them to their wins. Jimmy Garoppolo, he's been steady, but he's literally a game manager. I think he gave them a better chance to win more than Trey Lance did. But, hey, I think for this game, this will be my upset special. I think something's going to click, some turnovers, something's going to happen, and the Carolina Panthers are actually going to pull out this win. In a pivotal NFC matchup. We have the 3-1 Cowboys taking on the 2-2 defending world champs Los Angeles Rams. I don't know what the hell's going on with the Rams other than Matthew Staffording. But surprisingly to me, this defense has not been what it should. Now, I know that a lot of people think that Aaron Donald should be in the Defensive Player of the Year running, but how could you? Because their defense isn't stopping anyone. The offense is putrid. It seems like if Matt Stafford can't find Cooper Kupp, he doesn't want to throw it to anybody. The run game has been abysmal for years. And for this reason, I should take the Cowboys, but they lost me a championship, so I will never believe in them, and I probably will never pick them again. So I'm going with the Los Angeles Rams. All right, in our last of 3 4:00 games, we have the undefeated number 1 power ranking Philadelphia Eagles at 4-0 going to the desert to take on the 2-2 Arizona Cardinals. Listen, Jalen Hurts has exceeded expectations, and once again, that narrative with the black quarterback is they can't throw, they can just run. But if you put the weapons and pieces around them to thrive, they will. And he's shown that so far this season. Now, Kyler Murray, on the other hand, he has not lived up to that number 1 overall billing. I think he's regressed every year. Does it have anything to do with not having DeAndre Hopkins? It's hard to say, but he's just not getting it done. That being said, I think I'm going to have to go with the 4-0 Eagles to go to 5-0 easily over the Arizona Cardinals. Whew. Sunday night football. Prime time action. We have the Cincinnati Bengals at 2-2 traveling to the 2-2 Baltimore Ravens at the bank. Whew. Aside from that Buffalo game, I think this is the game that I've been waiting for most all season long. I think it could possibly be a shootout with both defenses having some issues. But can our offense make it happen? Can Lamar Jackson conjure up that magic once again and put this team on his back to a victory? I'm going to say that he is. I think the Baltimore Ravens get revenge for those last 2 blowouts, and I think that the Baltimore Ravens take this game easily. All right, last game of the week, Monday Night Football. We have the 1-3, previously winless Raiders that beat the Denver Broncos, I don't know how, taking on the Kansas City Chiefs at 3-1. Patrick Mahomes has been doing his thing, even without Tyreek Hill. Most questioned him and thought he couldn't get it done, but he's showing you, I'm an elite quarterback. I don't need to have the perfect QB stance. I don't need to be conventional. I'm going to do things my way, and I'm going to still lead this league. I'm going to still be the best person on the field. I'm going to be the face of the NFL. And listen, they have a semi-decent run game, but Andy Reid isn't known for running the ball. The Raiders, Derek Carr, Devontae Adams just have not lived up to that hype. Hey, week 1, they were balling. After that, it just went downhill. So this is an easy pick for me. It's Kansas City. Unless something happens and everybody just turns the ball over, Kansas City is going to blow the Raiders out of the water. All right, y'all. Thanks for stopping by. If you like this video, like it, comment, share it with a friend. Stop back here every week for your NFL picks. Break down the Ravens game, and I'll see y'all next time.